All right, party people, let's go. We're going to talk about the PWBA and the upcoming tournament, the Northern Colorado Open. This is coming up. Qualifying starts tomorrow. So they already did the PTQ. And let's go through real quick on the PTQ results. And then I'm going to get into practice and who I saw during the practice session. Some of you are going to recognize this one. All right, let me bring this up here. We'll go through. Go through the who made the PTQ. All right, I'm going to bring that up. Here we go. All right. So first up, Manon Ishida out of Japan, and as I understand it, she's one of the top bowlers out there. I really don't know a lot of them, so I'm not going to know, how good they are, or how good they are really not, or if they're up and coming, or if they're established, or any of that. But over time, I'll learn. I'll learn the players, and some of the players I'm probably going to butcher their names. So again, I'm going to learn how to pronounce their names. And like this next one, I'm probably going to butcher a bit. Sway's Wani Sahar out of Malaysia. I haven't really watched. I watched the Ishida during last week's tournament, and I don't remember. Was Wani Sahar. I don't remember seeing her. Brooke Roberts, if I remember correctly, I thought she was a two-hander, maybe. I don't know. Again, learn this as I'm going. Chika Terashita out of Japan. And then there's Adrian Hare, Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Mia Stalakis, Worcester, Massachusetts. Eileen Linares, Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Oh, there's two out of New Mexico. That's interesting. New Mexico is pretty small as far as, their population and all that. I think the only bowler I knew out of New Mexico was Mike Miller. I don't know if he's still there. And let me see who else we've got. Emily Eckhoff out of Wheat Ridge, Colorado. I think Wheat Ridge is up in that northern area also. So that's nice, for a local player. I don't know if she's like a regular PWBA bowler or not. Then Estefania Cabo out of Puerto Rico. It's nice to see. Then the last one, the number 10 qualifier out of the PTQ, Fatan Fake out of Malaysia. And so we'll see. Some notables, that just missed. Mary Orr, I think she bowled fairly decent in last week's tournament, in the main. Another one that's kind of surprised by was Pepi Konstiri out of Finland. She looked like she threw it pretty well last week, and looked like she made a little run. And so I'm not too sure what happened. I was looking at her scores, and looks like she got out of the gate a little slow. She had 180, 150, 190. So basically 90 under. To get started for your first three, and that's an uphill battle. And it seemed like the pattern was pretty difficult. But I was surprised she wasn't able to make it. Another one I was surprised about, because I thought she threw it pretty good, was Tsuzuna Miyagi out of Japan. This one looked like she did not finish very well at all. Last three games, high of 167. That's she's going to be licking her wounds for quite a while there. So didn't really see too many others that I saw in the past, or was kind of trying to keeping track of. I do remember this one. Now I still don't know how to say her first name. Is it K or Kaya or Kaya Gray? I thought she threw it pretty well. It looks like she had a really slow start. First four games, her high was 178, and then she finished off extremely strong with plus 87. For the last two. So she just got herself behind it too far to to make up. But that's good. That was a good finish. So hopefully she'll go into the next tournament with with more confidence. So anyways, that's it for the PTQ. let me switch over. I want to show you somebody that I saw on here, and it was like it was during the chat. I was listening to Emil and Von Kruger, in the chat, or the Bull TV, sorry, the Bull TV, and they were talking, and the name Tish came up, and so I was like, well, hey, I think I know Tish Johnson. So, anyway, so I got some of this practice here, and I want to mute this so that the audio doesn't screw everything up. And guess what little treat I got for you guys? Look at that. We got good old TJ getting on the approach. I tell you what, her arm swing and that push away is identical. I mean, it's like there's nothing that's changed, and her follow through. I mean, if you look from push away to the backswing and her follow through, it's like, it's like the 80s and 90s, that was TJ. And, obviously, father time has got us all. So, the legs just aren't the same. But, I'm looking forward to TJ, and I'll be watching her tomorrow, definitely. And, and also she's crossing with someone else that I was really, I thought threw it pretty well. Let me bring this up here. Yeah, so here you got I don't know if you guys can't see I don't know, can you guys see my pointer? Yeah, you can. It's kind of a little weak. I gotta figure that one out. But anyways, let me see. I can draw, right? I can draw. Yeah. I got TJ there. I think I can just, oh, look at that. I'm getting better at this. So we got TJ there. And then this gal out of France, Emma Friant. I thought last week, last week she was throwing it pretty well. And I don't remember where she finished, honestly. And, that's just the nature of my memory. And that's just the way it goes. So, those are two that I'll be watching. Yeah, let me see who else. That I'm curious about. There was a gal out of South Korea. I was curious about. Her game is pretty straight. Looks like it's not really accustomed to patterns out here just yet, because I think this is her first couple of PWBA tournaments, and I think her release just isn't really accustomed to what we see out here a lot, with these animal patterns and how, and just how to play them. But, I could be wrong, but anyways, maybe she just needs to, get the time zones correct. I don't know when she came out, but Ryu Sonyoon, she, she bowled last week, and she was close to the cut. She was close. A couple of tough games there, a couple of tough frames that really hurt her. Looked like she kind of struggled a little bit in the 10th frames, if I remember. But hopefully she'll bowl better, and she'll get her legs under her, and just become a little bit more confident, and just hopefully she has a better experience. It'd be nice to see. I know some of the gals from other countries are bowling pretty well. But I think that stories are also interesting to watch, where people are coming from. So, we know Daria, she just came back from an injury. I think she broke both of her elbows or fractured both of her elbows or something, with that. And she was off for a pretty long time. And, she was sharing videos online about her recovery and all that. So hopefully she'll get back in form and get back to striking. Let me see if there's anyone else that I was kind of curious about here. Again, I really don't know a lot of the gals. Oh, well, Stephanie, of course, Stephanie Zavala. I'm a hometown fan, so I'm always rooting for Stephanie. So, she got off to a quick start last week. She was leading after one of the blocks. I don't remember exactly where it was at. Their format, their schedule is a little bit different. They had, it was kind of odd. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was almost like all of a sudden they were into like the roll off, that they were bowling qualifying or something to that effect, and then all of a sudden they're bowling roll off, and I missed it. And I got to get used to their schedule because they're doing a couple of things, like on the same day. So I got to get used to that. So go Stephanie. So let me see here. And Sarah, she's pretty large on YouTube, or she's out there on social media, and so she, I think she does a couple of ball reviews, and then kind of does some travel stuff, while she's out there. So hopefully she bowls well. It'd be nice to see her, have a good tournament. This one, Kelly Whipple, she was, came across her just because of another YouTube channel, and so it's kind of one of those names. She's got a recognizable name, Whipple. So, and I watched that YouTube interview that she was on, and so it's just kind of one of those stories, to watch out for. So hopefully she bowls well. And who else? So let me see here, as far as kind of somewhat recognizable, or just, I mean, of course you got Liz, and she's the GOAT. So, I'm sure that she's going to be tough. Let me see here. I think there was one more. Oh, okay. We got our, the gal that won last week, Lee Jane Sen. And I'm not too sure of the order of, first name, last name. I'm not too sure. So, hopefully I'm not disrespecting, or anyone feels disrespected by my lack of knowledge on what name to say first. But, I do attempt at being correct. So anyways, so yeah, we'll see how she follows up. That'll be an interesting story. So anyways, let me bring this right back here. Oh, I wanted to share the pattern. I think this is the pattern here. Yeah, so I'm not too sure, is this a heavy volume for them or light? 27, I think on the guy's side, it would be kind of a lighter volume. 39 feet, that's kind of in that mid range of distance. It's, it's not long, it's not short, maybe a touch short, but, maybe a touch on the volume also. But you can see here, the shape of the pattern, kind of a traditional, pile up in the middle. It doesn't look like it's too piled up, still looks fairly flat across the middle. So, with the 39, you're probably, just depend on how much friction is up front, if you're gonna have to cross the heads real fast. But I'm imagining they're gonna have to get the, too bad they don't show the, I don't know if you guys see that. No. Too bad they don't show the hash marks, because I like to show the the range finders, down here, as far as like when I'm talking to bowlers about, where they want their break point, if it's in front of of a range finder, or just on the other side of it, is it 10 or 15, whatever. But too bad they don't show it on the graphs here. But I'm imagining, your break point is going to be just outside of that front range finder, probably, between, I'm guessing, again, I've never bowled here, so I'm just kind of guessing, maybe between 5 and 10, and it's going to have to be, down lane pretty good, because I think if your break point is a little bit left of there, I don't think there's going to be enough oil to hold the ball up, but we'll see. I mean, when I was watching the practice session here, I'll bring this back up. Let me get rid of this here. So when I was watching the practice session, I mean, it looks like they were using, I couldn't really tell, of course, what they're using, but it looked like it was kind of calmer stuff. I think Verity, you see Verity up here. I think she was throwing a concept. That one, not that one. That one looks like, I think that one may be a bionic. It's hard for me to tell because I really don't know the balls too well just yet. But let's see. I think Verity was throwing a concept, back over here. I don't think I can make the screen bigger for you guys, but it's on this video here. I'll put it in, in the notes. and so you can go back and watch or just search for it. So here, this looks like a concept and looks like she's playing pretty far out. I mean, to me, Verity is kind of the one to watch. When you're looking at how to play the lanes, maybe what your strategy is. Watching Verity, I think, can give you just a good idea of what you can expect. She doesn't have excessive ball speed, doesn't have excessive rev rate. She keeps the ball in front of her, and of course, fundamentally, she's the one of the best out there. So let's see. So you can see that, that I'm 90% sure that was a concept, so that's, stronger than urethane, not as strong as some of the big balls. So, and you can see here, I mean, that's about 50 feet. You can see that ball is almost to where it's a little bit beyond where well, that's one of those markers, but so it's in between. So in between the lanes on the gutter cap, if you're looking at that unit that picks up the telescore, um, I think that's about 49 to 50 feet, and you can see where Verity's ball is at. It's a little, probably about 51, 52 feet. And that thing's pretty far right. So that's telling me that, that concept is picking up. It's reading the back end pretty strong, and it's coming in. I think this ball went flush. Yeah, it went high flush. So you can tell maybe with that shot, obviously you want to watch some other stuff, but it looks like there's some pretty good hook out there. Obviously, Verity is an elite performer. So, take that, kind of compare that to your own game. So let's play this a little bit more. I'll do a couple more shots, get TJ in there, and then we'll get Emma in there. So again, I didn't really watch that much with the practice session. I just wanted to watch TJ. Okay, so there's Emma. I can't tell what Emma's throwing, but look like she was playing out a little bit. Here, let me back this up a little bit so we can kind of see. 12 out to about 5, and it's hard to tell what ball that was. She's on hammer staff, and I don't think that was a black pearl hammer, but I think they have a new ball that just came out, Spawn or something to that effect. I'm not very good on the ball, so let me see if we can get another Emma and Verity shot. So let's see what Verity does here. And I can't tell what ball she's going to throw, but we'll see. Looks like she's in, and it's got to be something strong. It's hard for me to tell. I don't really know those balls, so let's watch Emma. We'll see what she throws here. So again, it's 39 feet, 27 mils. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but it looks like there's plenty of friction out there. I think overall is what we're looking at. Just plenty of friction. So, anyways, I'm going to wrap this up. But what I like to do is support the sponsors of bowling. Anyone that puts up money to help support bowling, that's who we should be sponsoring. So I did bring this page up so you guys can see. So this is for the girls. I got Bowl TV and Bowler's Journal, Go Bowling, Lane Talk, Pepsi, Kegel, Storm. So I do have, subscription of Bowl TV. Not so much for the BJ. I'm just not really that much into that content. I guess I should be. Lane Talk, I think I have an account there, but I don't really follow it too much. I just haven't really gotten into that ecosystem, with Lane Talk. In the future, I'm sure it's coming. So, anyways, just remember, support your sponsors. On the PBA guys, I'm doing my part, trying to do my part. So I've got. Here, let me bring this up. Yeah, so you guys can kind of see that. Yeah, there you go. So, anyways, they sponsor the PBA, or they buy some time on PBA. So do what you can. Support those that support bowling. That's probably my biggest message for you guys. So I think that's all I got. For today, for tonight, and I don't think I'll be. I mean, I'll be on. I'll be on Bowl TV and watching the girls tomorrow morning. But I got a lot of work to do. I mean, I'm in manufacturing. You can kind of see my T-shirt, Esprit. That's the software I use. It's a CAM software. Helps me write my code for my machines. For my computer numerically controlled machines. If any of you are machinists out there, let me know. It's always fun to collaborate with other bowlers that are also machinists. So anyways, be good out there and keep striking.